On August 8th, 2019, Dorothy tweeted, "I do not know if this is going to tweet. I am talking to my fridge. What the heck? My mom confiscated all my electronics again. From an LG smart refrigerator." This is the Museum of Twitter, the show we talk about the most important tweets in the history of Twitter.com. It's Subscriber Sunday, and my Patreon subscribers wanted me to cover the time where an Ariana Grande stan had to tweet from her LG refrigerator because her mother took all of her electronics away. Now, this is a saga with multiple parts, multiple electronics, and I will go through all of it. I very much want to thank the Arianator Min Min who put together a thread of all of the screenshots involved. And before I go through all of it, I am aware that this is almost certainly fake to some extent, and I will get to that after I go through all of it. I just think it's worth going through as if it is real first. So the most famous tweet from Dorothy is her saying that she doesn't know if her tweet's gonna tweet because she's talking into a refrigerator, and the metadata says that it's from an LG smart refrigerator. In the same way that if you tweet from an iPhone, it'll say from iPhone, and Android from Android, from browser from browser. And that is a very funny image. It is very funny to imagine a 15-year-old girl talking to a fridge trying to get it to tweet. But the way it started is, and I apologize for the low quality of the screenshot, Dorothy said, "I'm leaving forever. My mom took my phone. I'll miss you all so much. I'm crying. Goodbye. #ACNL." And the metadata here says that she tweeted this from a Nintendo 3DS image share, which is a way to tweet something. I've never done it myself. I never actually owned a 3DS, but a lot of electronics these days are capable of tweeting. And it's honestly not unusual for a teenager to get their electronics taken away. But after she tweeted from her 3DS, she then posted a photo to her Twitter account that apparently is from her mother that says, "I seen that Dorothy has been using Twitter on her Nintendo. This account will be shut down for now," with a photo of the tweets on the Nintendo 3DS. But then after that, the next day, she posted a screenshot from the Wii U. She had screenshotted like the diary app and said, "Hello, my mom took my phone and Nintendo 3DS, so I have no choice but to use my Wii. Thank you all for the support and love. I will answer my DMs and follow back when I have a stable connection to Twitter. Bye, heart, Dorothy X." And then the next day she tweeted from Meme Maker on the Wii U saying, "Hey guys, oh my god, my mom is at work, so I'm looking for my phone. Wish me luck, love you." To which Cameron responded, "Girl, I will call your mother myself." And it was after that, on the 8th, that she then tweeted that she was tweeting from her LG refrigerator. And this was big news. A lot of websites wrote about it and even made the TV news in Britain. Hell, Popgrave tweeted about it, as #FreeDorothy was trending. And both the official account for LG US and the official Twitter account tweeted #FreeDorothy. It is obviously extremely funny for a lot of reasons. One, like I said, because it's funny to imagine someone talking to a fridge to try to get it to tweet. And I think it's funny because we all can relate, even if we didn't have Stan accounts, to desperately trying to find a workaround for some grounding that our parents gave us. And I've never had a Stan account. I've never been in a Stan community. I'm not even a huge fan of Ariana Grande, although I do give her my personal Best Supporting Actress Oscar for the year 2024. So I needed to talk to someone who knows Arianators, who knows this world. So I reached out to my friend Emily Ward, who is the mutual follower of mine, who is definitely the closest to being an Arianator, and I asked her to explain the community's reaction to this and the general psychology of someone who runs this type of Stan account. I apologize, my microphone was actually not plugged in for this bit, so my audio is a bit subpar on my end, but I don't talk that much on it. Emily, in real time, what was the reaction to the Dorothy fridge saga?
Yeah, so I actually tried to go back and look to see if I had a reaction to it, but I think Twitter's broken, or because she deleted it, or whatever, it's gone. But I do remember it being a big thing, and I remember like really resonating with it specifically because I was not only was I an Arianator, but I was a scoundrel as a kid who like would get grounded and get her devices taken away. And I think I remember trying to access the internet from my Wii. So like I remember being that type of person who would do that. And even if this whole thing isn't real.
Yeah, we'll get into that after the interview.
Yeah. Like even if that stuff like exists, like the concept of tweeting from a fridge is so good that I just was like, yes, go off. Like, this is great content. And the fact that it's from a Stan account makes it even better because you know that they just need to get off their insane opinion about whatever. And that's why they're online. And of course, they're super young. And yes, they would be grounded because it all fits that perfect picture.
I specifically want to ask about the Stan account aspect of this. A lot of people, even teenagers, when they get all these devices taken away, they might try to use the DS, but try to use the Wii, and then eventually they'd give up. What is it about a Stan account that would like be so desperate as to use a refrigerator, hypothetically?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with like an account that's branded as like a Stan account and is so specific is like you have to be in the conversation to like gain that like momentum. I am not someone who participates as a Stan account in that way. Like my Twitter account is my like personal brand and is my name, and I always wanted that to be what that is. And I think it's also too because when I joined Twitter, I think in 2007, it was like you couldn't have multiple accounts, so that was my main account. And I did my standing on tumblr.com, and I'm open about what that all was. But like Tumblr was where you would have often like multiple accounts. I think now, because a lot of people left Tumblr, a lot of that like energy, and because you could then start to have multiple accounts, became a thing on Twitter. And so then having that momentum of being in the conversation, being that like, oh, well, I want to get recognized by the artist because also they're on here. I want to interact with them. I want to be the number one stan account on Twitter. Like, you have to be posting, you have to be engaging. And I think that's why they're then so desperate to like get on there and get their take off, and go on a fridge or a DS or whatever.
What is Dorothy's legacy in the Ariana stan community like now?
I don't really know if they have much of, except for the fridge tweet.
Well, yeah,
because
yes.
They kind of stopped posting. But I think that that's really their legacy. And I think, you know, the stan community's moved on from it, and there's other things to talk about when you're an Ariana stan, especially this day and age. You know, you're talking about Wicked and you're talking about Ariana's personal life, and you're probably talking about it too much, unfortunately. And that's what you're spending your time on. I think Dorothy lives on as this like very funny moment in time of, oh my gosh, this stan like was so desperate to post that they did this.
Would you say that this ranks at the top of the most desperate stan account behavior you've ever seen?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's up there with the that Taylor Swift IDF one that I think you cover. Yes. That, I mean, those are like my top two awesome, like iconic moments in stand-up. And of course it's by like very young, very silly, like accounts. And you just like, you wouldn't expect it to come from an account branded like that, but that's what they're there to do. And also kids, I'm just going to say, as from personal experience, who get grounded from posting shit about their parents online, your parents know what you're doing. So even if whatever you want to say, they're watching. So watch what you say online.
I want to thank Emily for coming on and sharing her expertise. Okay, let's get to the not fun part, the fact that this is almost certainly fake. Multiple articles have been written about this. BuzzFeed wrote an article about it, and The Guardian wrote an article about it in which they actually interviewed Dorothy via Twitter. She said that she was actually using her cousin's iPad because she was still banned from using her phone. And she said that the reason why she was grounded is because she started a fire in her kitchen by not paying attention to something she was cooking. Now in the Guardian article, they actually talked to someone from LG and asked, is it possible to tweet from a fridge? And they said yes, if you can access a browser on one of their smart fridges, you can access Twitter, and therefore you could tweet. But they spoke to Igor Brigadier, who is a computer researcher at the University College Dublin, and he said that while the Wii U tweet and the Nintendo DS tweet were accurate, that those actually were from those devices, the LG Smart Refrigerator tweet was not. Because I said, if you were to tweet from an LG Smart Refrigerator, it would be from a browser, and so therefore it would say tweeted from browser. In the same way that if I were to tweet from the browser of my iMac or tweet from the browser of a Windows Surface, it would still be Twitter from browser for both of them. The only way it lists a device on the bottom other than browser is if it is from a specific app on that browser, or a built-in function from that browser like the Wii U. And because LG does not have a Twitter app, it would never say from LG Smart Refrigerator. Then how does it say that? Well, a lot of people smarter than me have broken it down, but basically, and you can read this screenshot, you can pause it if you want to see it, but there are ways to mess with the metadata to make it seem like you tweeted from anything. The BuzzFeed story on this pointed out that there was a viral tweet earlier in 2019 that said from Gucci Smart Toilet, and a BuzzFeed reporter actually manipulated it to make it seem like their tweet was from 2013 from a BuzzFeed smart fridge. And so yeah, I'm sorry to say, they faked it, it's not real. But even without all this tech evidence, I kind of figured it was fake because of one of the tweets. Specifically this one. There's just no way that if Dorothy's mom found out that she was tweeting from a DS, that she would care even one iota to let Dorothy's followers know that she was caught. The only reason why this tweet exists is because Dorothy needs it to further the narrative. But like, if I was a parent and I found that my daughter was tweeting from another device even though I took away her phone, my first thought would just be to take away the device. I wouldn't even bother looking at what she was doing, and if I saw that she was tweeting, I'd just be like, oh, I can't believe she's tweeting, and then I'd shut the DS. In the real world version of this saga, she would just have stopped tweeting abruptly and then been like, hey, my mom found my DS. But the thing is, this tweet also suggests to me that Dorothy is actually a 15-year-old girl. Because I think if like a grown adult was doing this and this all was a con, I think they'd be smart enough to know that a parent would not care about updating Dorothy's followers. Only a 15-year-old would be naive enough to be like, surely adults would be like, hey, this account is getting shut down. I don't know, in some ways the fact that this is fake says a lot more about human psychology than if it's real. Like, I can kind of draw a straight line to someone being desperate enough to be heard on Twitter that they would tweet from a fridge, but it's a lot harder for me to think about like, wow, you need so much attention that you will go through the pains of faking a whole saga that ends with you faking metadata to make it look like you tweeted from a fridge. In some ways, that is a more psychologically interesting character than a person who's just desperate enough to tweet from a fridge. But I don't know, I still like that this exists. It's still funny to imagine. And honestly, it's not that far-fetched. People figure out how to play Doom on a smart fridge. Follow me for new tweet every day, and if you want to vote on what I cover on Subscriber Sundays like these, please join my Patreon, patreon.com/museum of Twitter. You also get the weekly episode, The Museum of Not Twitter.